The time has come. The 5th volume in my ongoing series of rare, unique, and hidden gems on the PS4. The only variation is that today we'll be crowning a victor in the PS4 giveaway, and I've had some great recommendations by everyone who participated. I've also been playing around the clock to really get a grasp on what titles deserve this recognition, so at the end of my reviews today, we'll give some special attention to the champion of my given choices. Now, set the timer for fun as we broil up some brisket in the form of PS4 titles that are sure to make you salivate. It really comes down to whether or not the intended demographic has been met in this title. Does it draw you in with its dispensement of gameplay, graphics, and atmosphere? This title is another installment from developer Black Mermaid and publisher Humble Games. It was released September of 2022. The blasphemous similarities here are apparent, but is it too demure or does it come out slashing? Let's inquire into how this has been executed. 2D platformers seem to be a dime a dozen, but Moonscars captures some roguelike elements with a dark adventure setting that sets it aside from your average run-of-the-mill installment. Grey Irma sets out to find the sculptor to gain information about her existence. Finding said sculptor carries its burdens, but this is a game that rewards if you're somewhat methodical in your approach. Also, the difficulty level isn't so harsh that you can't slash your way through most enemies and paint the gray landscape red. There's a good mix of challenge versus reward, and I appreciate what it was going for. I wasn't besotted with this game, but I was drawn into its somewhat unique way of keeping the genre fresh, and I have to give it a 7 out of 10. Did I find a spiritual successor to the movie Sin City? This is a question I had to ask myself as I manipulated this interactive, motion comic-style Bejeweled clone. Yep, you weren't just hearing things. It's a story-driven Match 3 style game, and a title so unique I couldn't pass it up for this list, and although it's extremely short at around 2 hours with 4 different endings, I found some strange satisfaction being part of its noir world. Let's delve into the review. If you told me I'd be playing Sin City 3 as this one ramped up, I might believe you for a few minutes. The protagonist/antagonist, due to his questionable choices throughout, are reminiscent of Marv from the movie franchise. You know, ugly mug, bouncer style, chick banging brute, which makes me scratch my head why it only got a 16 rating in the UK and not the 18 rating. There's even a girl named Goldie, which made me roll my eyes a bit. It is very adult in its themes, so realize this as you buy it. Each fighting encounter consists of matching up icons to deal damage, and after each conquest you receive a perk that is also morally questionable. If this all sounds intriguing, it kind of is. I give this one a 7 out of 10. Now, I don't have a ton of Hispanic friends, so when I had the opportunity to gain one in the form of a gun-toting, parkouring luchador, I speed vaulted at the opportunity. Limited to 2,000 copies and available through Special Reserve and Devolver, I snagged number 837, and luckily I realized that not only had I made a culturally diverse friend, but also a piece of sentient fruit who judged me on my kill streaks. I guess the question begged is, should you seek out this title while it sits around $70 for your collection? Let's find out. If you were to tell me, hey, let's go to the ballet tonight, I may raise my eyebrow in disgust or disbelief, but if you add the simple noun, bullets with ballet, then you have my undivided attention. And that's what this game feels like. You'll dance, you'll vault in glorious assault posture, all while controlling time in slow motion. This alternative gameplay is what makes you feel like John Wick or Max Payne and gives you the time needed to pull off amazing feats of satisfying kills. Does this get old, you ask? Why no, because the environmental landscape changes enough to keep testing your prowess in battle. Given the twin-stick option of targeting your foes and gun variations, Pedro really ends up being a good friend to kill some time and some antagonist scum along the way. I'll give this a 7.5 out of 10. Have I ventured into the outskirts of Eternia? I was pondering this question and wondering if I would get a glimpse of the battle wagon driving by with the blue muscle man inside, but to my dismay, I just saw perhaps distant third cousins of his instead. I guess what I'm trying to say is I was looking for that 80s cartoon nostalgia, and it was received adequately. Again, it felt like I was in the universe, just not close enough to throw a stone and hit it. It's an action-adventure roguelike first-person shooter/melee title that is available from Limited Run Games, complete with an 80s catch song. Albeit familiar to the cartoon fantasies of the time, it wasn't directly on the nose. Let's focus now onto my thoughts. Not so sure I appreciated the cooldowns and stamina exhaustion, especially when your enemies are attracted to you like you're the flippin' magistrate at a courthouse, but there is fun to be had nonetheless in the glow of nostalgia and progression. The game forces you to be deliberate in your attacks and your defense. It is a bit frustrating, however, when you hold up your shield to block an obvious attack, and because the angle is slightly askew, you get your face bashed in by an undead freak that doesn't even have one. The waves of foes tend to converge on you without much warning, so you have to be on your toes constantly, and this may keep you engaged for the wrong reasons. I do like to choreograph a little more than this game allows me to. Because of this onslaught of enemies and overall frail protagonists, this game can come across as somewhat difficult. I guess the question is, does it make you want to keep going? And based primarily on the perks you receive at the completion of each area, I did want to see how far I could get with said perks. When considering the frustrations and flaws, I came up with an overall score of 6.5 out of 10, but I did enjoy my time, and I still wanted to catch a glimpse of Skeletor. Funny, if I was never awake, I couldn't have even played this. But I was conscious enough to reel in a lot of enjoyment from this game. I would call this an on-rail, twin-stick scrolling shooter with the option of either bullet hell or bullet heaven. Yes, you are given the option of automatic firing, so in all my sainthood, I chose the heaven option rather than the torture that hell might bring. You basically fight the actual fears or dislikes of a little girl named Rem, who is stuck in a coma. Great name, right? The environments immerse you into nightmarish experiences that run on loops until you collect enough souls to end the punishment. The dark overtones really feel like a scenario that may play out in a child's mind. Let's open the hospital curtain and explore. Aside from a great title name, English option, and cool story idea, Never Awake really prevails as a great shooter with unique art directions as well. Weapons and accessory options are well constructed and provide helpful perks that are worth striving for. Soul collecting really takes precedence unless you want to keep the loop going to rack up some serious points. I like that you have that option, so ironically it gained some points from me toward my overall score. For a 5 or 6 hour play and a price hovering around $50 to $70, there's some decent value here for a rare and well executed title. Shmups are such a hard demographic to score for me because of their sheer numbers, but this has won a special place on my shelf and earned a sleepy 8 out of 10 score. Dark roguelike tactical role player with Souls-like elements? Good lord, whose sister do I have to kill to get more of these? I'll suppress my homicidal urges for the time being and won't answer that glaringly easy choice so that I can converge my dark energy into this astonishingly well-crafted title. This is a French-developed game by a publisher named Focus Home Interactive. It of course is a limited run title that will run you just over $60. This is one of those releases that I think will catch the attention of the more seasoned players and the spikes in challenges it provides. Let's eviscerate and break it down. Within the world of games that force stark tones and tactical strategy, I feel there's a formula that this game captures near perfectly. It's a balanced bloodbath that combines victory and sacrifice, and depending on the difficulty you choose, could result in many sacrifices. Each daughter has traits, skills, and remembrances to equip that really make you plan ahead for battles, along with a specific class of fighting styles that include gun skills, blade mastery, shield melee combat, and about halfway in, a scythe dancer who is skilled at armor removal. The differences with enemy threats are varied but not plentiful, so you will see the same creatures pop up occasionally. What's crazy is that it still doesn't take away from the experience. Boss fights are paced fairly well and take more than one battle to dispatch on average, but are completely satisfying when you break their code. Despite any minor flaws you may pick up on, the fact of the matter is that this is an addicting style of fighter that keeps you trying loadouts from your pool of sisters and also keeps a fresh supply of them to not get too attached before you must slaughter them for the greater good. I give Othercide an 8.5 out of 10. This game is ducking mad, I'll tell ya. I wasn't prepared for what I witnessed or inadvertently partook in. Bromeo and Toothink has developed an action-adventure fighter with mild puzzling aspects. This, of course, is all in the vein of Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. If I was as ripped as this bird, I'd open up my own gym and call it Get Ducked. But since I'm as ripped as a movie matinee ticket, I'll have to settle for the Walmart dumbbell special to achieve my sculpted godliness. This game is about as silly as my rhetoric, so let's punch through the puns and get a close look at these guns. Being one of the more unique games I've played, Pato Box really gets an A for effort. In this black and white world, you will have two options to get through it: an arcade mode which lets you fight all the bosses in succession, or the campaign story which utilizes puzzle progression to reach said bosses. The boxing bouts consist of 3 segments of knockdowns, which I found to be quite interesting and similar to TKOs. I really liked the sequences in these bouts and found solace in learning the patterns of each adversary. I could see this being the official Punch-Out game for a Daffy Duck cartoon that wanted to take a jab at early boxing games on Nintendo. I could also see being under the influence of certain natural plant-like materials and how that may intensify the overall experience. We have graduated from games like Duck Duck Goose, but have evolved to a new level with this one. I'll give this quirky duck a 7 out of 10. The brutally difficult, multi-directional, top-down scrolling shooter has graced my collection and stolen hours of my precious time, but has managed to earn my respect somehow while doing it. The improved graphics and sound are but yet a smidgen of why I hold this game in such high accord. Sequel to the SNES original and developed by Natsume, Reshrined gives you that slack-jaw feeling once you realize there's a super easy mode to complete the story, and upon doing so will give you free mode, which allows you to choose playable characters and unlock co-op play. Let's take a look at why you need this game. This game is all sorts of awesome. First off, it reminds me of that stick treat available in about 10,000 different flavors now, so already my mouth is watering when I jump into the gameplay. I think Gambit from X-Men would blush over such a fine usage of playing card damage, and Rocky Raccoon from Guardians of the Galaxy would probably sue for copyright name usage infringement. Let's not forget the Beatles song title either. But I must digress to the main topic. The 16-bit enhancement and color makes for a visual celebration to the likes of a Hanamatsuri Japanese flower festival. Sprite work is well done and gameplay is fast and furious. Oh, sorry, Mr. Diesel. Now I'm gonna get sued. I will retract my prior statement and deflect to the deflection that you must use in this game to flourish. It's a nice way to send an enemy fire packing and return it to its home. I also enjoyed the immense diversity in enemies and bosses from level to level throughout the 8 stages. I doubt you'll find yourself sleeping on this one because your wits must be present to progress. If you have $25 just lying around, I find it imperative to purchase this. I am giving Pocky and Rocky an 8 out of 10. You know, it's strange. I didn't notice any pixel junk throughout this entire game. Would I even recognize junk if it was pixelated? That's not something I want to lose any sleep over, so instead, I'll adopt insomnia to play this exquisite tower defense masterpiece. From developer Q Games and publisher Spike Chunsoft, we have a limited-run strategic defense refugee camp where protecting your chibis is as important as protecting your junk. Now, let's go take a look at some of the monsters you'll see here. From hand-drawn art in the first title to almost clay-like Tikimans here, you will build up your defenses and level up your towers by dancing your sweet cartoon ass off. There's always something to keep you running or planning ahead, so we'll abandon lackadaisical losers who have no business touching a controller here. You will experience a perfect pace for the difficulty you choose and conquer a whopping 45 different runs across 3 difficulty choices including Fun, Tricky, or Mayhem. The upgrade tiers are progressive with coins and gem pickups that will open up a fun and target-specific arsenal for your foes. I found that completing a difficult run without a companion greatly diminishes you at times, so it's essential to try to find someone to partner up with. The game is really made for co-op, and it's so good for bonding and thought processing for completion. Sometimes I have to rate a game higher because of just how darn fun it is. You should be screaming, "Take my money!" with this one, especially when it's sitting around $25. I had an amazing time in co-op mode, and maybe it's a bit subjective, but I give this title a 9 out of 10. Prodeus, or Prodeus if you're Latin, is a pixelated first-person shooter with modernized lighting and particle physics that set it aside from the classics like Doom or Quake, but you do have options to utilize shaders in the game that drop resolution. This one was crowdfunded in 2019 and released in 2022 for this platform, which speaks to its cult following. Another humble game, but far from humble in its demonstration. The gore is egregious to say the least, but not unexpected in this genre. If this were The Shining, the blood gets off on every floor. Let's review. Gunplay and fluidity must be present in such titles, and Prodeus delivers. Arms dealers could appreciate the fact that you don't just use one type of firearm, but it's almost essential to mix it up when your ammo pickup supply is so varied on a given stage. It's not just running and gunning all the time, however. There are secrets that will keep you backtracking or trying to find a keycard to reveal hidden areas. This one won't push the boundaries for visuals, so I recommend shorter runs to avoid the familiarity curse, which entails environmental lackluster that can lead to boredom. This is how you can get the very most out of this game, and I promise you'll want to come back. This one is a 7.5 out of 10. And there we have it. I want to tell everyone that participated in the giveaway that I was impressed with all of the suggestions, and you didn't make it easy on me to pick a champion, so I ventured outside the rulebook a little and chose 2 suggestions for the winners. I'll reveal who won shortly and use them in a future Hidden Gems video. But yes, 2 lucky gamers will have a choice of games from a list I have selected in my collection. Let's not waste any more time and get to the giveaway. The first title I chose was greatly based on the raw fun it offered and an immediate jump in and play for most ages. I was actually taken back by how much I liked this game, and it came as a surprise even to me. The first winner goes to none other than Penguin Wars. There are other factors I chose this one also, like affordability and the incredibly addictive nature it brings to the table. Shout out to Alan C6277 for this suggestion. I'll leave my information in the description for you, and when you're ready, I'll send you the list of choices to choose from. Congrats, and thank you heartily for this awesome addition to my collection as well. So next, let's talk briefly about my tiebreaker. I really dove into this next one, and it kept me up until 4 a.m. one night. I had to force myself to put it down, and that, my friends, is an indication of being hooked. Cool art style and just fun to learn, but also very challenging to perfect. The game I'm talking about would be War Theater. I found it ironic that both titles had the word war in it, but I promise that didn't sway my opinion. You'll see both of these titles in my upcoming videos where I will go into more depth, but in the meantime, I need to recognize the one who made this part of my permanent decor in my room and shout out 8-bit fryup-ru7pk for suggesting this gem. Ladies and mostly gentlemen, I bid all of you adieu, and unlike Prodeus, I humbly ask for your subscription, comments, or likes. It makes my day every time I get to interact with any one of you. Congratulations to my winners, and I'll expect to hear from them soon. In the meantime, I'll be simmering up a brand new Hidden Gems video in true G1 Toys fashion very soon. Cheers!